evening, everyone. I always find it hard where to look at this camera because it's weird. It's like I want to talk to you, but it looks like I'm not talking to anybody when I look this way, but it's right in the camera. When I look at the screen where it looks like maybe I'm looking out into a window talking to someone, it doesn't look like I'm looking at the camera. So, I don't know. The camera quality is so different than it is when it's without StreamYard too. It's very different. So good evening, everyone. I will be very vulnerable and, hi Denise, and open with you. I'm feeling a little energetically wonky tonight. So I'm not sure how this is going to go. I don't know about you, but this day has been energetically kind of wonky. So yeah, I am just here myself tonight. And of course, if anyone who ends up watching, if they do, wants to join me, more than happy to bring you aboard. All you have to do is put something in the chat box and then I'll know. So tonight I titled this segment of Wednesday night, whatever you want to call it, don't let anybody define your heart for you. But there's something that I want to share before I get started, because I just want it to be really clear. For anybody who does actually happen upon this information, I always treat it as if that's just not going to be a thing. It's just going to be me doing this. And in the same spirit as that, I'm going to refer to this as notes to self. This is me living my inner journey outwardly, because I want to make sure that it's very clear that the desire of my heart is not to teach anyone anything. My journey and my heart has nothing to do with that. And I know that that is one of the things that's presented, which I'm neither here nor there, but in my heart, I have no desire to teach anyone anything. Simply sharing notes to myself. This is me basically expressing myself to self. These are the things that inwardly come to me in my moments as I'm processing my story. These are the downloads and the answers and the things that come to me in spirit. And I am simply sharing notes to self. These are notes to myself. This is what comes across for me. If it fits your story, then wonderful. If it doesn't, then still wonderful, because I'm being my authentic self and you're being your authentic self. And that's my only desire. So I just want to, I might even start calling these, note to self Wednesdays. I don't know. I just want it to be very clear that that's what I'm doing. It's just basically sharing my inward journey outwardly. And whatever effect that has in the physical reality of the stories that we're telling, that's going to be an adventure of its own. My heart is interested in the ethereal impact that it has just by me presenting myself as me and doing my story, which I wholeheartedly encourage everyone to do their story, because you're the only one that can do your story as you. And it's very imperative to what we're doing collectively. So that being said, there's been a couple of things. I've got tons of notes still. So I'm going to kind of go through them all, and then I'm going to erase them because I've been taking notes for a while. And they get all, I get so many of them, because if I get something, I write it down immediately or speak it into my recorder and it puts it into type on here. So, because otherwise it'll just, as soon as I get it, it's gone. I can't really hold on to things these days. It seems like the now moment is it. And once I'm out of it, it's like, what was that? So one thing that I did experience since I spoke last week was I talked a bit about the whole idea of us engaging our earth character versus being, very fully connected to the ethereal remembrances of who we are on a very large and high scale spiritually. the truth with a capital T, and balancing one foot on the shore and one foot in the water. I talked about that, and I wrestled with something a little bit. So, hello, Miss Diane. I'm hoping that me sharing my notes to self, it helps me as I process through it, and there's the hope that it will, that it will resonate with another aspect of self, which is what we all are to each other. I'm working through this myself, and I'm going to confidently say that I've got a pretty decent handle on my I am presence and how to operate in what I've remembered about my divinity thus far. So while doing that, I recognized that an individual that crossed my auric path said some words, did some things, and immediately when that energy entered my realm through my ears, eyes, and everything, my stomach hurt. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, whoa, what's this? My stomach hurts. I'm having this reaction to what this person just said when I've released all this that was, I dealt with in the ethereal truths of my I am presence. So I had to stop for a minute and examine this. My tummy hurts. I'm getting this energetic message from my innate body saying something's off. Look at it. So unfortunately, well, it's not really unfortunately, it's just human words that we use. But in the moment, it felt unfortunate that the first thing that I did was something that we do, and we've done it since childhood, is I abandoned self. I started to make excuses for what I was feeling not being accurate, that maybe I was off base, maybe this energetic thing that we all feel, energy never lies. It always tells the truth. So the first thing I did, I recognized, is that I abandoned self by trying to negate that this wasn't a legitimate experience I was having, because how could it be when I have such a deep remembrance of who I am ethereally and in the truths spiritually that I've remembered in my divinity? And I recognized right away that that's what I was doing. I was dismissing this feeling in my stomach. That's abandoning self. And that even just made it feel even worse. So I had to pull back from it and draw into that observer mode and look at what was occurring. And it went on for most of the day with me not really understanding what was occurring. I did, however, accept it. I didn't resist it. I allowed it to be. I allowed myself to feel it. I even processed some of it by allowing myself to be upset and experience that. And it came out, some of it came out in tears and a little sense of, maybe these things that I heard and felt and experienced, maybe there was truth in them. Maybe I need to self-examine and make sure that there's not anything in that I need to address. Those kind of things is what I did, but I really never got a clear understanding of why it was occurring. And then I felt like it was something that was, quote unquote, wrong. Let's put it that way, just for lack of a better word. So we're being called to fully engage this earth game right now, fully engage it. 1 foot firm on the shore, 1 foot firm in the water, balancing both the ether and our earth story at the same time. And this is my heart's desire. I know that's what I've been called to do, so I want to do it. So this is what I'm practicing. And in the midst of practicing, this comes up and it just didn't seem to fit. Okay. And so I did recognize that I was abandoning myself by just dismissing my feelings. So I backtracked that right away and allowed myself to have this feeling in and to validate that it was accurate, that I was feeling it, regardless of what I needed to do with it or what it meant. I was feeling it and I honored that. That eased it. That immediately moved me forward a little bit. And then that night, when I went to bed, I asked for assistance in understanding and unwrapping this. Well, 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and guess what? Lo and behold, that's usually when these things come in. But I have in my notes here to think of Lord of the Rings and no abandoning self. My feelings are legitimate, so I honored them. And this was what my thoughts were towards this individual that I had this engagement with. My feelings are legitimate. I honor them and I see you. And then in the night, I realized that this had to do with the earth character, Shannon. It had to do with being connected to my divine self, but this was me operating in my story as earth character Shannon, honoring my feelings as legitimate and supported. And when we're children, many of us never have someone on the outside of us honor our feelings. We're usually, suck it up, I'll give you something to cry about, just ignored, we're told that we're being silly, or we're too emotional, or we're overreacting. That sense of no one honoring our feelings, that's where we learn to do that to ourselves. We get abandoned because the beautiful one in front of us was also abandoned and learned to abandon self. And they're just simply walking in that same process. I know, I did it. I'm fully guilty of that with my own children. I abandoned myself, and in abandoning myself, I abandoned them, which is exactly the process I walk through. So this is something as humans that we do. We abandon ourselves. And so I was very good to do that. But all right, so there's that. So one thing that I gleaned from this in the night was that it's very, very key to what we're doing for you to allow yourself to be your earth character. I felt what I felt. It was energetically, legitimately real, and I was not in judgment. And I think that's, yeah, I'm just going to keep reading now. This will probably come back around what I'm speaking of, so bear with me. So the title tonight, this is, we're kind of getting to that. Do not believe anything else anyone else says about your character. You are the one that gets to choose that. Only you. That's the only one who gets to choose to make the decision about who you are and what's in your heart. Even if you're the most vile character, we're just going to use this as an example. Even if you're the most, and I use the word vile lightly, it can be used as a judgment. It can be used as a label. What I'm using it now is to give us a duality, a picture of duality. So just bear with me that that's what I mean by it. I'm trying to paint a picture here so you get the idea of what I'm trying to say. Even if you're the most vile character in the story, you have to believe your own heart and what you believe about yourself, even if it's completely inaccurate. Even if you're the most benevolent and beautiful character in the story, you have to be the one to choose what your heart is about. Only you can choose that. Only you can set that forward. Regardless of what character you're playing, you know, the way on the dark side of the duality or the way on the light side, we are all playing our roles on that spectrum, all perfect, all as they should be for the experience that we're having in this earth story that we're telling. But it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, I know I can say very clearly, I run into people that just get me. They just, some of the things that, you know, my earth character goes, wait a minute. Those types of characters. And you can see, like I said before, I said, I see you. We have spidey sense. We figure things out sometimes, and we have to honor that within ourselves. So when that individual is in your, your field and your path, this is what I'm saying is I was encouraged by Spirit to let that character be that character. Don't negate the earth story for the ethereal truths that you've come to remember about yourself, because they really do not connect on the level of equality and energy signature. Because what we do in this duality changes all the time. It's up and down. It's all over the place. That's why it's only true with a small letter T, when ethereal truths never change. They're immovable, immeasurable, and permanently perfect and innocent all the time. Your divinity cannot be moved or touched. So that's where this gets a little bit tricky. Honor your earth character. So when that feeling in your gut hits you, when somebody says something or does something or engages with you, and you get that innate body response that says, something's not right, honor that. And it's okay to respond to that. It's okay to say something to that person according to what you're feeling. Now, I wouldn't encourage anybody to be flippant or not introspective about it, but it's okay to honor that. Matter of fact, it's imperative that you do. Even though in the ethereal understandings of the I Am Presence, there's no separation between us, and we are all just as benevolent as the next. Our earth characters, however, have parts to play. And when earth characters show up in your life to play the part of the dark duality for your storyline, you show up to play your part, whatever that is, whatever part of the spectrum it's on. It's perfect, it's beautiful, you know what it is, you do it. And it doesn't matter which character you are. Don't let anybody else's narrative define your heart. Only you get to choose that. Now, see, the thing with that is let's take, for example, that vile character I talked about. Let's just say this is the worst. I'm going to use earth words here. So anybody that this triggers or monkeys with, it's just going to happen. You're dealing with the worst narcissistic, horrible, awful character that you can think of in your life. And they are doing this thing that we all are aware of that occurs, and it causes all kinds of energetic expression within our Dantean centers. We can feel it. In that circumstance, it's perfectly acceptable and actually warranted that you as your earth character respond to that and honor that. If you call them out on that, that's not anything to do with the ethereal truths. That's you walking in your earth character, calling those things out because you're energetically supporting yourself. And vice versa, that individual playing their part. It's very important that they play their part the way that they're supposed to too. And inside of that heart that I'm talking about, it's causing this, energetic expression within you as it seems difficult to manage. They themselves, if they believe that they are the most benevolent and right bang on character that has the story figured out, and that's why they're being the way they are with you, they too need to only allow themselves to define their own heart. And if that's what they believe about themselves, that's what they need to believe, and that's what they need to profess, and they need to hold on to that with everything in them. And I know that sounds a little contradictory, because that means they're going to continue to be this character that they are. But you see, the thing is now this comes back up into the ether again. Their higher self, just like my higher self and your higher self, will utilize that earth character story to the highest good of themselves and all to move that character in the path where they're supposed to go. So they will have their refinement. They will be moved into the places they're supposed to be. And that's between them and their higher selves, how that story works out. That's sovereignty. But it doesn't matter who you are or what character you're playing. I just really want to strongly encourage every single person to never, ever, ever let anyone define your heart but you. So when that information comes in and in your heart of hearts, that's not who I am. Believe it, regardless of what anyone says. And even if you're, like I said, you're the villain or you're the good guy. Once again, they're just words, but you know what I'm trying to say? There's no gradation. There's no measurement here in my words. I'm just trying to paint a picture. It doesn't matter which character that you're playing, whether you're the sun or the moon. Okay, we could do it that way, and that takes all the, the connotations off of it. You believe what you believe in your heart, regardless of what the moon says to you and the sun says to the moon. It doesn't matter. You believe. You choose to believe what's in your heart. You stand firm with that and honor it. It's not only nothing wrong with it, it's absolutely mandatory to your earth character that you honor that character. Our divinity does not and will not ask us to cease being our humanity, because divinity went to all this trouble, all of us as one, to create this experience. It's important. And if we negate our humanity in it, we've negated the experience that we're intended to have with one another. I hope this is making sense. It was very clear to me when it came to me. Okay. And then I said, and I'll just read my notes real quick. Do not believe anything anyone else says about your character. Even if you're the most vile character there is, you still believe your own heart about who you think you are. Because in that, if you need refinement in that area, the universe, your higher self, source, goddess, whatever you want to call it, will make sure that you find your story, regardless of what character you're playing. But it doesn't matter how dark or light of a character you're playing. You must believe your own heart about who you are and not someone else's, either projected energy or verbal expression of who they perceive you to be. Only you can only believe your own heart about who you are and follow that always. So that's something that I wanted to share tonight. I'm glad that it makes perfect sense, Denise. Hopefully it makes sense to everyone. Because once again, these are my notes to self. If you missed the beginning intro when I came in, that's what this is about. This is me working out my notes to myself. As spirit processes these things through me, boots on the ground, all I'm doing is sharing my inward journey outwardly. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if it resonates with your story and becomes a blessing or some kind of, something for you, beautiful. If it doesn't, still beautiful, because we're both being our authentic selves. And that's the most important part of anything. Divinity's gone to a lot of trouble to create this story. Divinity doesn't de-expand and it doesn't waste its time. So what we're doing here is very important. We need to honor it. We need to experience it. We need to let ourselves be human while we hold tight to our divinity. That's the as above, so below. Okay. Don't let someone else write your narrative. Same idea, right? Letting go of what your old self and energy brought in. Okay, this was another thing that just came to me recently. I know that I'm experiencing this. You may be as well. I'm in this place where all of a sudden it feels once again, at the beginning of this journey, it was wonderful. I found all this beautiful, eclectic group of weirdos, and all of a sudden I fit in. I found a place where I fit, and it was beautiful. The last 4 years have been amazing. What an incredible journey. And I fit, and we all moved through these processes together. And then we had this big inward hermit mode movement that we all just went into to do the internal work. And now that I've come out of that space, fully ready to engage this earth story, knowing full well that that's what's supposed to occur, all of a sudden it feels like I don't fit in again. I'm extremely by myself in my thoughts and my processes. I look around and I have no one really to share what I'm going through with. It doesn't seem like I'm on the same page. It kind of looks like this vast landscape that's sort of empty and void. And I'm feeling again like, well, here I am once again in my story, and I don't fit. And nobody seems to be fitting with me. And at first, it was very difficult for me to process that because it felt like an old thing that I used to experience before. But this isn't old, it's new. And there's a reason why it's occurring. If you're experiencing this, I hope this encourages you. You have just let go of everything that the old you in the other moment energetically drew to yourself. You worked through it because it was energetically drawn to you on purpose for your refinement and your advancement and the benefit, your best benefit for you, which benefits the all. But that old energy drew that story in for you. That story's concluded itself, and now those things are falling away, and those people are falling away. So now we're in this new arena where it's been completely brand new wineskin, completely open, wide open, expansive space, and it feels a little bit lonely and void, and like I've had thoughts of, have I done something wrong? Did I lose my space? Did all the work that I've done so far, did somehow I slip off that block? Because I really felt like I'd reached some spaces, and that's how it felt. But what I'm here to encourage you with is you're letting go of what the old you energetically brought in to create the new you. Now this new you has new experiences and new abundances and new beautifuls coming for you. So that means you have this big blank vacant space, and it feels somewhat like you're alone and you don't fit and you have nothing. That's how it feels, like you're lost in this big vast desert, and it's like, I've been here before, I don't want to do this again. Don't let it fool you into thinking that you've done something wrong or that you haven't done the work that you've done, because the whole reason why it's like that is because of what you've done. All those old things that you energetically brought into yourself have already been utilized. You've already elevated your consciousness to where it is now. And all of those things that you drew in before, they are not magnet to you anymore because your frequency is different. Not higher, not lower, not better, not worse, but you're in a different frequency space. So this is what it looks like. Take a deep breath and don't let it daunt you. All right. I don't know, my notes don't seem to make sense after this. Yes, I hear you. Yes, it does feel lonely, but I want you to recognize that it isn't lonely. It just feels that way. Hold on, keep your space, keep doing what you've been doing. Hold on to the truths that you've remembered about yourself, your divinity, and keep walking in through your earth character. Be the new energy that you are in this now moment and watch what happens. Happens a lot quicker now than it used to as well. That's another thing that's beautiful about this moment. That's why this is happening so abruptly and so obviously. But it is, you're not alone. You haven't done anything wrong. And you actually don't fit in because you're releasing all that old stuff that doesn't serve you anymore so that it looks vacant. But what you're about to fit into is the new now moment. And it's just, this is going to keep occurring as we release energies that we've already refined through, and the new ones come in, because divinity always expands. The universe always expands. Everything that is divine is expansive. It continues to expand. So as you walk through this process, you're going to expand. And expansion means a big empty space to move into. With that being cluttered with all that stuff that used to feel comfortable, that made you feel like you fit in, there's no room for your expansion. So just breathe and know that you're right on track with your divinity. Okay, I don't know where this is leading, but I'm just going to read it. Service to self is service to others and vice versa. Now I'm finding in my earth walk and the character right now that this is becoming a huge perspective for me. This new understanding of this service to self is service to others, and how we started out with it backwards, but now we've got it in the right direction. And let me read this to you. This internal hermit self absorbed time was because we had it in reverse. Hello, it's duality. We were seeking to serve self. No, wait, erase that. That's my notes. I was speaking into it and I said, no, wait, erase. We were seeking to serve others. Now, see, I didn't get rid of that before I read these. Talk about being naked and, vulnerable right in front of you. You're even getting my mistakes. We were seeking to serve others and looking for something in this service to those others to fill ourselves with. We weren't consciously aware that that's what we were doing, but the reason why it didn't work is because it was in reverse. I believe that there was a benevolent movement in us to seek to serve others, but we did not serve self first. We didn't have this love affair, this twin flame, union within ourselves, the masculine, feminine, divine balance. So in that, we were looking for something in that service to others to fill ourselves with unconsciously. This internal time was for us to realize that we had that in reverse, going within and the service to self and getting that established as everything started with source and creation and goddess. Everything started, the beginning of all this, ultimate creation by itself before it individuated enough for it to experience itself. Goddess is how I refer to it. Those are the words I use because it's a divine feminine frequency. Everything's feminine until it's not. This energy started out whole, and it separated just enough to have an expression and an experience with itself in two separate parts. That's how we started out. Eons and eons ago, this became a reversed circumstance, a duality that went a little too far. This internal time was for us to realize that we had that in reverse. Going within and the service to self and getting that established as everything started with source, creation, goddess. Everything expanded from that space that I was just talking about out. This is why we just went through what we went through, so that we could get that put back in its proper alignment. So now crawling out of that self space in order to serve others and only serve others before ourselves, this is the now time. This is the time of union. This is why it occurred the way that it did. So this is another shift that I'm experiencing. And if this doesn't resonate, that's fine. If it does, great. Once again, these are notes to self. I'm processing my inner circumstances in an outward way. That's all I'm doing. So in this circumstance, we went inside to get that wheel turning the correct way. It was turning in reverse. So now that we have this complete union within and we're whole and we love self to the point where there's no need any longer within us, this next process of being Earth Character You, insert your name, Earth Character Shannon over here, is about full and complete 100% service to others, because there's no separation between us. But now that we are holy, WHOLE, we can do this in the forward motion as opposed to the reverse motion. We're no longer serving self unconsciously to seek something out of that clingy neediness, that thing that we do as humans. We have that set straight within. So now we don't see separation anymore. When I look at the benevolent, beautiful ones all around me every day, and right now I have a new job and I'm in service to people all day long, I see them as myself. The same love affair that I have with myself is now outside of me, because this is all holy. That's all I ever think about is service to others, nothing else. And the reason why this is working and raising the consciousness of this planet, and why people are waking up all over the planet and going, oh my gosh, what's going on? is because those of us that began this process, the internal work that we've done, and this process that we're in right now, we're raising the consciousness for everyone because we have realized that there is no separation, that one in the outer is the same essence as you are. So when you serve self, you are serving them. And when you serve them, we totally understand we're serving self. There's no separation. So that beautiful thing that you learn to do in this hermit mode with yourself is now an outward expression, becoming in the outer as the inner, as above, so below. Seek first the kingdom and everything else will be added. That means that this entire planet's consciousness will be elevated as long as we honor these earth characters and we move forward. It's amazing and beautiful. And I'm finding that every day, regardless of what happens, I'm in absolute bliss because as I pour this forward, it's a moving forward motion. Love is, and I think that was the other part of my notes, and I can get rid of them because this is something too. It's the givers of love notes. Ultimately, everything is because of divinity's desire to give forth love. That's it. Everything is because divinity decided, I want to expand this love that I know that I am. How can I do this? Individuate just enough to throw that love back and forth. That's everything. That's what we're doing. That's how this all began. The figure 8 Lion's Gate of the giving, receiving of that love, I am. The love that you are, the love that is this one, is the entire purpose of everything. Entire. It's the purpose of everything. Now, the reason why I wrote this down is because I know that I'm seeing it. I'm seeing a lot of spiritual trendiness. I'm seeing a lot of pseudo-spirituality. I'm seeing a lot of cliquey, trendy, faux spiritual behavior. They come with words. They come with, I know you're seeing it. It's all over TikTok. It's all over Facebook. It's all over YouTube. This whole new creation has come out, a co-creation, and it's false. There's something false about it. Once again, I use that word very lightly. It is not a judgment. It is not a label, but you understand what I'm trying to say. It doesn't resonate and match what's within my heart. This does. So listen again carefully while I read this. Ultimately, everything is because of divinity's desire to give forth love. That's it. The figure 8 Lion's Gate of giving and receiving of that love that I am, the love that you are, the love that is this one, is the entire purpose of everything. It's not about manifestation. It's not about remembrance of who you are, sharing your truth, having a format, gathering people, attaining truth, bliss, connection, activation. Now, these are all valid things. I'm not invalidating them. They're all valid things, but they're all byproducts of the one purpose, and that is to move forward in that figure 8 of the love, push love forward, not thinking about anything else, but moving this energy forward. That is expansion. That is divinity. And since there's no separation, guess what happens? It immediately comes right back to you because this is a forward moving figure 8 action. It hurls itself forward through your divine intention and it whips right back around in that figure 8 and it's yours and it's theirs because there's no separation. So the only thing that this is all about is moving forward as the love that you are. This is only to give forth that love, Goddess God that we are. This is the key to what we are calling and experiencing as this awakening. Be givers of love. This is your identity. This is the we, me, and the both and. We, me, both and. Remember that. Both and, Abba, B-A, mirrored is B-A. It's A-B-B-A, Abba. Yeshua used it. That has a high frequency. He did it on purpose. He put that into the ether to support us in this now moment. Abba, both and. And the next thing that's mirrored is we and me. If you set the word we on a mirror like this and look at it, it says me. The exact mirror image of we is me. So it's we, me, both and. We, me, both and. Okay, let me see. Let me find my place again. Okay, so there's one thing. Well, yes, David. The thing is we're not going to say that what they're speaking isn't wisdom. We're not going to. This is what I'm trying to say, is that we don't we don't put that into that perspective anymore. They're playing their character. They're doing exactly as they should. I'm not negating all those things. I said that very clearly in my notes. I'm not negating that those things are important. They're part of the Earth story. Divinity doesn't waste its time. We're here to tell this story. Get into your Earth character and do it. But what I'm saying is those things are all byproducts of the true purpose, which is just to be this forward moving I am presence love that we are. To be it. Just be it. Forward motion, realizing that that one in front of you is your soulmate. It is your true love. It is you. Treat that individual just like you treat yourself. We've learned to do this. We've fallen in love with ourselves if we've done the inner work. And it's so holy and complete that for me, I find it very easy to love everyone outside of me just like myself because I see them as not separated. That's what this divine thing is doing. And as we do this, the consciousness will raise, and all men, women, and children and inhabitants evolving on this earth will be elevated, including Gaia, including the entire story, because it's really just energy anyway. And we're alchemists, incredible alchemists. There is one thing that I would like to share, and I think this was the last thing that I had. Well, this is going to get a little rough. This is okay. So I'm going to just make sure you understand that now I'm speaking from Earth Character Shannon. This is an example to you, me honoring Earth Character Shannon and being her boots on the ground as the human who has to engage the story that we've created every day, fully connected to my ethereal truth, but yet being human character Shannon. Okay. There's one thing that I want to share with you, and that's that I don't give a flying fuck what you've done. I don't care. It does not enter my auric field. Zero judgment is here. It is not the focus on the fact that you've done something. It's the fact that you're hiding it. And if this is something that you're witnessing or that you're practicing yourself, this is what I received within myself, because this was that tummy hurt thing where I realized that this is where my heart is at, and I'm sharing it with you vulnerably and openly, and I have been cleared to speak it, and I'm speaking it just like it is on the inside of me. It's the fact, not the fact that you've done something, it's the fact that you're hiding it that I see. Once again, there's no judgment in that, none, and I refuse to accept anyone believing that there is, because once again, I get to choose my heart. I know who I am. I get to choose what it is. No one else does. And I'm doing that with strength, confidence, and complete steadfastness. Okay? That's what I see. Once again, no judgment in that. But I see you. I see. And just as I see myself, because once again, remember, no separation. You are me. Just as I look at myself, I see you. There isn't one thing under the sun that's judgeable, that anything of all humanity has done. My spidey sense is going off right now because of individuals that I'm witnessing hiding what they've done. That's where this is affecting me. This is where I'm speaking, because I figured this out through my higher self and all the processes that I went through spiritually. We all have our processes that are our own. Okay. Let me find my place in my notes again. Okay. My spidey sense is going off right now because of individuals that I'm witnessing hiding what they've done, not being vulnerable and open and coming right out with it. My heart says that the reason behind that is because they, and myself, because I've done this, I am you, you are me. I'm not removing myself from this circumstance. As I speak about the they, I'm speaking about me too. I want to be very clear about that. My heart says that the reason behind that is because they and myself know how it will be perceived. So they're hiding it. So they're judging it themselves by hiding it. That's judgment, because they've decided they can't uncloak that. Somebody might have a thought. So they're the first ones having the thought that it may be perceived in a way. Let me say that again. We judge ourselves by hiding what we do. We believe that there is a judgment for what it is we've done. I can speak about this with the authority that I have because I've had that thought. I've had to process this. I've done this myself. So from my perspective as Earth character Shannon, in my current circumstances, when I witness this outside of myself in the behavior of others, my spidey sense goes off and calls bullshit. And I'm going to call bullshit on this as Earth character Shannon. I'm not going to sit in silence and pretend that I didn't hear it, feel it, and see it, and I don't understand it. See, once again, I get to choose who I am. I get to choose what my heart sees and what it doesn't see. How that affects you, that's up to you. I'm doing what I'm choosing to do because I'm the only one who gets to choose it. Do you see how this is coming full circle? I hope this is making sense to you. Okay. So from my perspective, okay, I already said that. Okay, I'm calling bullshit. Yeah, I said it, bullshit. If you're hiding your behavior from others, it's a self-judgment because you believe there's something judgeable about what you've done, so you're not going to share it with anyone. Naked, vulnerable, unveiled union is what this now moment is about. And now I'll put myself in this arena. There is nothing that I have done. Oh, there's people outside my window. It scared me. I saw an image out there. People taking pictures. I live in a tourist town. Scared me. Just startled me for a minute. Okay, focus, girl, focus. Okay, and see, now I lost. See, this is the now moment. It does it to me all the time. Let me reread my notes. Okay. Judgeable about what you've done, so you're not going to share it with anyone. Okay, this is the time of being naked and unveiled truth. Myself. Now I'm going to put myself in the hot box right now. There isn't anything that I've done that I deem judgeable in my holy self. I've already worked through all that. It's already been addressed. It is what it is. So therefore, I am not going to hide anything I'm doing or saying or being because I know it's not judgeable. It's not causal. There is no judgment. Now we can pick up the duality judgment that humans have on one another, but we all know that ultimately that's just you judging yourself. You're not judging the one across from you. You're judging yourself. The plank's in your eye. The reason why it looks like there's a plank in their eye is because you're seeing the end of your plank. It looks like a speck, but it's actually you judging you. It always is you. It's always you. End of story. It's always you. So from my perspective, me in the hot box, I'm not going to hide anything. I have nothing to hide. And I'm putting that forward because I'm witnessing individuals who are hiding the things they've done. The things we do are not who we are. They're not judgeable. They're not causal. We can't be hung up on the things we do anymore because this is an earth experience we created to have on purpose. Ultimately, we are innocent, absolutely perfect, divine beings, untouchable. That's the ethereal, eternal truth. So therefore, if there's no separation between us and what we do is not judgeable, this is the unveiling. Why in the world would you hide what you're doing unless you've already judged it to be something that isn't shareable? Because that means the person who receives that information might make a discernment or a judgment in their own hearts about what you're doing because you've already done that to yourself. Now, see, I could care less who finds out about what I've done because I don't hold myself to account, which means I don't hold you to account or anyone else. There's no separation between us. It's a beautiful, liberated, free, wonderful place to be. It's wonderful. So I'm an open book right here. And I know that there are all kinds of people in my story, and I'm grateful for that because we're working this earth story out together. But the reason why I'm sharing this is because I'm witnessing this, and I'm not going to be afraid to say I'm witnessing it. Earth character Shannon sees that shit, and I'm calling bullshit on it. If you have a behavior that you've exhibited, a choice you've made in your behavior, not judging it, not saying you good, bad, or otherwise, you did exactly what you're supposed to do because we always do. The story is infallible. But if you're hiding your behavior from other people, going to great lengths to stage something, to make it look like something else, or just simply not coming out with it, then that's because you're judging yourself. And oh, my darlings, if you hold yourself to judgment, you will never be free. You will never perceive yourself and experience your freedom because you are free. None of this is causal, but you won't experience it. You won't perceive it. You'll see yourself as judged and not free. There isn't anything that I've done as Earth Character Shannon that I need to hide any longer. There isn't. And this is energetically, I've already done this, and verbally, I've done it in my last few videos. I invite anyone who's part of my story that's energetically experienced me. If there is something on your heart that is weighing upon you and it concerns me, come to me. Let's lay everything out on the table that's expansive, and there's room for all of it because it's not causal and it's not judgeable. And let's look at it. I bring it, all of it, because I already have brought it within myself. Let's do it. And that, if not, then great. I am not going to move from the space that I'm in. I'm not going to run from people, and I'm not going to run to people. I'm going to stay stationary. I'm going to be like my creator in the ethereal realms is. Yeshua put it in the terms, I'm going to be like my Father in heaven. And what he meant was Father, Abba, the both and, everything, be like everything is, and just be. And that's the space that I'm in. And this is just me, notes to myself, walking out my internal process in an outward way in front of you. And whatever it does, it does. Energetically, it's already done its work. So that being said, I believe that's the end of my notes, which is really cool. That means I can get rid of them all and make an expansive, big blank slate for next week. And I'm glad because, man, I got all kinds of notes, all kinds of notes. I constantly write everything down. So anyways, I don't know if there's anyone who has anything they'd like to share. Oh, I like that, David. Alchemist, to turn a heart of lead into a heart of gold. Yes, this is all frequency movement. That's right. We transmute what's been co-created and presented in unconsciousness, and we consciously transmute it back into the frequency that it already actually is. It's just we've had some miscreations unconsciously. We're setting that straight. We're elevating the consciousness of this planet. It's a beautiful, wonderful link. So if there is anyone who is watching right now, who's a part of the audience on either channel, either The Way of Mary or I Believe, if you're interested in coming on, if you'd like to share something, I'd love to have you. If not, that's great too. My format is always open and the table is open, and I could care less what character you are or what you've done. That means nothing to me, nothing. Because there's room in this expanse that's been created by this character for every single character in the story, every single one. And nothing that you have done negates you from that because it's not causal. And if you're hiding it, well, that's okay. That's your story. Once again, I don't negate that that is good, bad, or otherwise. You keep being you. Only you get to choose that. So if you're hiding those things, great. Keep being you. You keep walking that process. And if you believe you're in the right to do so, and you have this platform that you stand on, you are right. You're absolutely right. Keep being you. But remember that you're the only one who gets to choose that. No one gets to choose that for you. Don't allow someone else's story to put a stamp on yours. You be you, because you're the only you there is. And your expression can only be expressed with the energetic song. Your soul song is unique unto you, only you. So it's really important that we all just be ourselves, be authentic to ourselves, whatever that means for you. So that being said, I hope that energetically it comes across. If it doesn't, it isn't from this end. I can guarantee you it's not from this end. Because once again, who gets to choose what's in my heart? Me. And I'm not letting anyone else's narrative tell me otherwise. There is no energy here that will not give space. Everyone, every single individual, from what we would consider the most vile to the most filled with light, and everyone in between, that is Goddess, God. And the masculine and the feminine are of the same essence. They're just as valuable one with the other. But the divine energy that started this whole shebang in its totality was an essence that isn't what people think necessarily, not from my perspective. Just like in nature, everything's feminine until it's not. All life has to travel through the portal of femininity to gain life. Everything does. You have to go through the portal of a woman to be born. You have to go through the portal of a female flower in order to be inseminated by a male flower. Divine femininity is the giveaway of life. And I think the reason for that is because it started out this way and it opened itself and gave out life out of it. And the first expression was a part of itself, which was the energy we call divine masculine. It's just as much God, goddess as goddess is. It's just that's the part that was separated out for this beautiful engagement that we have, just enough to engage one another. At least that was the original plan. And for eons, it's been lots of unconscious creation. And not bad, not good, but that's just the now moment is now bringing all that back into and integrating in it to Holy Self. As a one energetic unit, we're doing that in individuated parts. That's you and that's me. So that being said, I should have brought my water because I'm thirsty. So I don't see anybody making comments that they would like to join me. So I'm going to go ahead and close for the night. I'm grateful for the opportunity to have the freedom to speak my heart and to know that no one gets to choose who I am and what's in my energetic song, my soul song, but me. And I trust 100% that the divinity that has brought me forth, if I'm in a place where I'm not to remain, will bring me forward to the place where I should be. So I have no concerns about what I know my heart is in this now moment. For tomorrow, the now moment that I have then, I may have a completely different perspective because my higher self will pull me to that place and say, yep, that was the old energy. Guess what? This is the new energy. So here you are. And I trust that implicitly. And I trust you, and I love you, and I'm grateful for all of us because we are just an amazing group of beloveds that have been put forth out of this love. And we always will be who we are in essence, because expansion doesn't de-expand. So that means that you and me, the individuated aspects that we are, and all the characters that we play, we get to keep doing this with each other eternally. How amazing is it? Yeshua said this to me. How amazing is it to spend all of eternity being in love, and by moving forward in that love, create the paths for others to come as well. You can't ask for anything better than that, than to be the love that is. What an incredible journey we're on. And I love you. I want you to have a wonderful night, and I will be back again next Wednesday. I have no idea with what, but I can tell you throughout the week, I'm sure things will culminate. And even if they don't, we'll just open it up and we'll just talk about whatever. I love you. I want you to have a beautiful night. I'm going to get off of here, enjoy the rest of my night off, and I will talk to you again next week. Thank you, David and Denise, for joining me. And let's see, there was one other person too. There was more than one. There was Tracy. I'll have to watch this after it posts. Bad internet keeps pausing. Oh, that's all right, Tracy. It's not going anywhere. And then we had Freedom Fighter and Corey. Thank you, Corey, for coming in. And Miss Diane, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you all so much. Your frequency means so much to me. I love you all. And even if it's just this little gathering of energetic sparks drawn to one another, even if there was none, I would be overwhelmed because I realized there's no separation. And I'm literally just notes to self, notes to self. If it's been a blessing, great. If it hasn't, great. You be you, I'm going to be me, and we got this. Have a good night.